My name is Catherine Tran, and I work at Community CPA. And Thursdays is always our special day because we get to bring in a guest speaker to kind of highlight what they do and their services that they offer. So today we have the Multicultural Development Center of Iowa. I have Tracy Jon Sargeant on the line. He's unfortunately not able to put on his camera, but we will have a conversation with him on this nonprofit organization. And again, he is their executive director. So Tracy, thank you for being on the call today. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course, we always want to say no responsibility disclaimer on our webinars. Our legal counsel always tells us to do this, and it's really just to make sure that we just let you know that information is always changing. So be responsible as things pertain to your business and finances. And Tracy, once again, thank you for being on. Tracy is a lifelong technology enthusiast and CEO and founder, correct, of MDCI, which is the Multicultural Development Center of Iowa, based up in Iowa City. Tracy, I know that you also serve in a variety of different capacities as well. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here. And I appreciate the introduction. I can tell you that my first interaction with Ying was so transformative. She really inspired me to do more in the community. And I'm really glad to have been in a number of meetings where we talk about what we can do to make change in the community. So this is just a continuation of that, where we can lift each other up, and appreciate an opportunity to talk a little bit about MDC Iowa.
So yeah, speaking of which then, tell us about the mission, who the target demographic service for the organization is, so that we can get to know a little bit about the organization.
Yeah, perfect. So when I first founded MDC Iowa 4 years ago, we had a pretty singular focus of trying to improve diversity in STEM. So science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And, I started this, I've been in technology for 26 years. And, through all of that time, I was almost always the only person of color in the room. I mean, I was a Microsoft consultant. I went coast to coast and really interacted with hundreds of different types of organizations, small, medium, large, government, you name it. And I probably supported the business or someone in their industry. And it just got really disheartening to not see a representation of Black and brown people in my industry. And so I finally decided to do something about it. I'm a big believer in that quote from Gandhi, to be the change you want to see in the world. And so I started MDC Iowa with that singular focus of making sure we could provide year-round access to STEM education to historically underrepresented people in the STEM fields. And that has gone really well. We started out as essentially 100% virtual, meaning that we didn't have a physical location. I like to call us the couch surfers of the nonprofit, where we would go to wherever people had public space. So we did a number of programs at the Iowa City Public Library. We worked with a local makerspace to provide some of our classes there. And then we started to branch out and focus on building relationships, and some of our early partnerships with, ICAD, Iowa City Area Development Group, working with another nonprofit, the Iowa City Bike Library, really resulted in us being able to deliver our programs through them and support their member base and the demographics that they serve. And that was traditionally people from a low socioeconomic status that were disproportionately, people of color.
Awesome. So could you explain why representation matters to you and to the organization? I saw it on your website, so I'm going to ask you, and particularly as it pertains to STEM.
Yeah, so specific to STEM, like I'm a big believer in people can't be what they can't see. So representation matters to me, and I think it matters to other people because it gives you an opportunity to see people that look like you in roles that maybe you aspire to be, or maybe it will encourage or even inspire you to do something in that particular field. I think it's easier for us to start to visualize what our future looks like when we can see people that look like us doing various things. So from a STEM perspective, because we are so underrepresented in those industries, I felt like we needed to really focus on improving representation. It's one of the reasons why we do our Featured Friday, which is when we usually feature someone in a STEM industry or STEM discipline that identifies as a person of color, so we can share their story. I'm all about lifting people up and elevating them, promoting their story and sharing their lived experience, thinking that that might be a motivation for other people that identify as a marginalized person. So STEM specifically, there's systemic racism, there's lots of systems in place to make it more difficult for people of color to enter into those industries. Personally, growing up, I'm a son of an immigrant. My dad moved to this country when he was 18 years old, no formal education. It was not something he passed on to us. So I'm all 100% self-taught, which is not very common in the space that I'm in. I'm a cybersecurity engineer by trade, and so I'm the anti-hacker. I work with organizations to fight the bad guys, but that usually is staffed with people with a computer science degree or some form of college education. And so I like to be that representation to show people it is possible to be part of the technology industry without having a formal degree. And so you can actually take our classes, use us for training resources, and enter into the workforce without having a college degree.
That's excellent. So as you told us a bit about the programs, can you get into some of the specifics of what the classes are and how they run and that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked a little bit about, my focus on STEM, but I'm also what people sometimes refer to as a serial entrepreneur. I love starting businesses. I think there's always, an opportunity to address a problem, whether it's in our community or in our life, and maybe that's a business opportunity. And to my dad's credit, he encouraged us and instilled in us from a very young age that the only time you could fail is if you stop trying. And so I will try new businesses all the time, but I started looking around our community and I realized there's a lot of people that are either running a small business that maybe, want some help focusing on aspects of their business they're not very good at. Maybe it's marketing, or they don't understand the accounting aspects of running a small business or the legal structure. And so I started looking around at resources, and then we created the BIPOC Business Accelerator, which is the program we're probably the most focused on right now. And that's really a 16-week program where we are providing a really intense, in-depth training program for either aspiring entrepreneurs. Maybe you don't have an existing business, or you are an existing business and you want to elevate your game. You want to step up and grow and maybe accelerate your growth. And so we provide this 16-week program, and it tackles all of the kind of fundamental things. We focus a lot on identifying, your target customer base. What does it take to acquire customers? How do you focus on marketing in the current, environment that we're in? And it's a lot of the workshops are led by industry-wide professionals. So we would love to have someone like Ying or someone from Community CPA come and talk to the group about accounting, in the business world. We have attorneys that'll come in and talk about legal structure. So, everything we do is free. We don't ever charge for any of our services. It's our way to support the community that we live in. So that's one of our programs. I guess if we switch back to the STEM, we definitely have a lot of fun STEM programming. Everything is hands-on project-based. I'm a big believer in learning methodology. And I think that project-based learning is proven to be the most effective. So all of our classes are tied to a project, and it's all hands-on. I'm not standing in front of the classroom just kind of lecturing people. I'm providing guidance and answering questions and allowing them to develop critical thinking and also, do the work themselves, because I think that helps with the retention of the knowledge. But we'll do things like build your own drone, and then everyone in class gets to keep their own drone to help people understand aerospace engineering. I'm a big 3D printing fan. At the peak of my collection, I had about 30 3D printers, which I have now gifted to MDC Iowa, so that everyone that comes to one of our 3D design classes can actually print the thing that we help them design. I just did this as part of a a before and after school program through the neighborhood centers at Johnson County at Alexander, Twain, and Hills. And we work with kids that were in like 4th, 5th, and 6th grade to teach them how to do 3D design. And then we actually printed the things that they designed. And that might sound like it's just kind of fun and like a tinkering type of thing, but it's actually a great way to get kids interested or excited about math. So it's a lot of geometry, and that's just the entry level. We can actually apply more complex mathematical equations to 3D design to replicate shapes and do some things that are more complex. So those are kind of two of our big ones. Of course, like every STEM organization, we do programming, right? That's really critical to a lot of technology related jobs. I'm not a scientist, so I partner with other people that have a background in science to have them come in and do those types of programs. So it's all hands-on, and we really think it's a fun environment. And we like to say that we focus on ages 9 to 99, because the question I get asked a lot is, well, what age is this really for? And I like to tell people you're never too young or too old to get interested in STEM. There are people, maybe in their 40s and 50s that STEM wasn't really a thing when they started. So it's a great opportunity for them to jump in and start at a ground level and find out if maybe there's a second stage career opportunity for them to get into a STEM related career.
Awesome. Yes, you and I definitely need to speak offline about the Business Accelerator program, because yes, we would of course love to help out with that. But yes, in terms of the start dates for that, is it ongoing? You said it's 16 weeks, but I don't know.
Yeah, so yep. So our first cohort will start next week, Wednesday, and we do still have 2 spots open in our program. So if there's any existing business or aspiring entrepreneur that thinks that they would benefit from it, I encourage them to go to our website and sign up. It's mdciowa.org. And they should be able to click on programs, and they'll see the BIPOC Business Accelerator, which will take them to a registration link. It's very basic information, your name, where you're at in your journey as a business person. If it's not a required field, you don't have to worry about filling it out. It just helps us get a better sense of where you're at in your journey and how we can help you throughout the 16 weeks. So next week, Wednesday will be the start. It's just 2 hours on Wednesdays for the next 16 weeks. So 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. It'll be online. We're trying to really do our part to keep our community safe. We would love to be in person or do hybrid, but for right now, this will be 100% virtual via Zoom. We'll send people any of the supplies that they might need, materials that they're going to need for the class. And so we're very excited about that. So once we get that first cohort done, we'll take some feedback from the people that participated. We'll do kind of a lessons learned, make some, modifications, and then we'll launch a second cohort right away after, because we think that there's going to be a continued need for this type of a program to help support our small businesses in our community.
For sure. That sounds like a great program. So I would love to hear more once you get it started and see how that develops. So in terms of your programs and what you've seen in your organization as time has gone on, Are there any stories you'd like to share on impact, or either for impact on the people you've served or things that have affected you personally?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It warms my heart. And a lot of people ask me, how do I have energy to do this? Do I ever sleep? Because I work a regular full-time job, which is very demanding. It's high tech. It's, very competitive. So I put in 50 hours a week in that. And then I do this, nonprofit. And like you mentioned, I'm also involved in other organizations. I sit on a few board for other nonprofits, and I'm involved in other community projects. But the thing that really motivates me and gives me energy is that interaction. And when I see that light bulb go on with a student, whether it's a young adult or a young learner, that my class, my content, and my approach to teaching resonated with them, something clicked, and they had that aha moment. And if I get one of those in each class, that's enough to keep me fueled for months. So it's really amazing to see that. We were deliberate in where we set up our operation. So we have space in the Kingdom Center in the South District. We also have space in the new Iowa City Bike Library location on Gilbert Court. And we wanted to be close to the people that we wanted to serve. So from a demographic perspective, and a low SES perspective, we wanted to be where they are. We didn't want to make people come to us. And I think that can't be overemphasized, that people really value and respond positively when you show up for them, instead of setting up shop in an isolated area and expecting them to come to you. So it's been really, rewarding to see how grateful people are when we show up, and be part of our community, make it as easy as possible, remove any barriers. So that's been great. In terms of other lessons learned, I know that the school district has a really difficult job. They have challenges hiring a diverse teaching workforce. And so we're happy to kind of bridge that gap. Again, going back to representation, that's really important. And if it doesn't exist in our public school systems, then I think it's up to us in the private sector to try to figure out how we can fill that gap. And so, being able to connect with these students, having a shared lived experience is really important to us. And I have, firsthand knowledge that that's really important to the young learners as well. So, being able to fill that role and kind of bridge that gap has been really exciting for me to be able to see that over the last 4 years.
Thank you so much. And then, okay, so what if people want to get involved? What are the needs currently for MDC Iowa, and how can people get involved in both service, volunteer side, however they'd like to use it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we always are looking for volunteers. And I think a lot of times people think, oh, I don't know STEM, or I'm not a STEM person, so that's not really for me. And quite honestly, if you're looking to leverage your time, if you believe in volunteerism, if you're an ally and you want to do more to help support the BIPOC communities, this is a great opportunity to do that, because we're directly engaged with them. So if you're willing to give up a few hours of your time to provide some support, if anyone has kids, they know what it's like. You're kind of herding cats sometimes. So, one person teaching, a class of 14 people can be challenging. So having an assistant or someone there to just kind of engage with the students helps that from like a scale perspective. So we have a volunteer sign up form. You can, go to our website again, mdciowa.org, and fill that out. And then someone from our organization will reach out to you, find out a little bit more in terms of what you're looking to accomplish, what you think your strengths are, how you'd like to actually help serve the community. So that's a great way for people to get involved. But absolutely, if you have an area of specialty, if you're, in a STEM discipline in terms of being a professional, that's a great opportunity for you to lend your expertise to help us develop coursework. We're always looking for new projects, new ways to share information and help get people, excited about STEM. And lastly, I would say we wrap our mentoring program around all of this. Whether you're, a young learner that's maybe getting ready to go to college, you might be first generation. There's an opportunity for people to mentor those individuals and help them as they make that transition into higher ed. If you're a business owner and you are, new to that, you might be looking for a mentor that has experience running a business, and you can, get some coaching and some help there. So mentoring is always an opportunity. We've invested heavily in our platform. We've designed from the ground up. So there's mentoring opportunities, volunteer opportunities for our classes. We have events throughout the year. And we're really big on making sure that these things are available to the community year round. This is not a once or twice a year. We try to do an event at least every month. So we always need volunteers to help with that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tracy. Very much appreciate the time on this call and finding out more about what you do and what services are available to the community. So
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just noticed that there was a question in the chat about the coding program. We absolutely do provide that. It's all based on Python, which is a really versatile programming language, something that can be used in lots of different aspects of STEM. And we also use that in our machine learning and artificial intelligence program, where we actually have self-driving RC cars. So it's very similar to a Tesla car, only it's built on a remote control chassis. And it's a great project for kids to learn about both machine learning and artificial intelligence, and the coding is part of that. So we have lots of what I think are fun, unique projects that make up our coding program.
Perfect. Are those happening in person then?
Yeah, so I guess the beauty or benefit of having some of that space, and if you guys haven't been to the Iowa City Public Libraries, or not public library, sorry, the Iowa City Bike Library's new spot on Gilbert, it's 1222 Gilbert Court, and it's, 5,000 or 6,000 square feet. We occupy the back 1,700 square feet. So, we have the ability to be outdoors. We have a big overhead door, and we can bring some of that stuff right out into that parking lot area where we do the training of the self-driving cars. And then inside our space, it's 14-foot tall ceilings, 1,700 square feet. We can be very spaced out. We keep the door open so that we can have, good air circulation. So we are trying to maintain some of that in person. We require people to wear masks just to keep our staff safe, because we do share that space with the bike library. So great opportunity for people to get some hands-on learning in person at that particular location. And the STEM classes at our STEM factory, which is inside the Kingdom Center on the second floor, those are in person as well. But we have spaced it out so that individuals, there's no more than 2 at a table. And we also ask that they wear masks while they're inside of that shared space. So we are still trying to do as much of that as possible. But we do have STEM kits, which is everything you need to do 13 STEM projects. It's all hands-on learning, and we can send those to people. They can leverage our online learning platform, which is either text-based or video-based, and it gives them a chance to do that STEM learning on their own. And then they can email questions, and we can set up Zoom sessions if they run into trouble. So we think we're accommodating everyone, but we're always open to feedback.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for your time and for sharing what is available to people. I think it's a wonderful service, and also just a great mission for our community to close some gaps that are there. So.
Well, thank you, Catherine. I appreciate that. And thank you for the time today.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. And we will see you next time, 3 p.m. Bye, everybody.